Hey everyone, Cinephile Mike is here, and it is day 71 of Oscar Rewind, my bi-weekly series of videos where I revisit the work that reflects that of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. As always, I'll be discussing the awards history for the film, the box office information, the critical response, and as always, these reviews will be spoiler free. You can find older episodes here on the YouTube channel, or you can head over to my website, cinephilemike.com, for all kinds of cinematic goodness. But before I jump in, as we've been doing, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and click that subscribe button, click that like button, and join in on the conversation. Drop me a comment. There's so much to come, and you don't want to miss out on any of it. Can you believe after this video, there are only 4 more episodes on Rewind? Actually, wait, no, I think there's only about 3 more. 3 more episodes on Rewind, and then we are into award season, where you will be getting 97 reviews in 97 days leading up to the 97th Oscars in March. Nominations have already started to be revealed. Earlier this week, we got the British Independent Film Award nominations, and the IDA and the Golden Globe nominations are right around the corner. So make sure you're following along with all of that. But before we go forward, we're going to rewind. And today I am discussing the 2005, um, not really sure what genre to call this one. So I guess I'm going to say, and it'll be clear, home movie, Kino Lorber's Kinetta. Kinetta was co-written by Yorgos Kakhanakis and Yorgos Lanthimos and directed by Lanthimos, and this film actually marked his feature directorial debut. Film has no box office information to share. According to my research, it had a very limited release in New York in 2019. From almost 15 years after it was filmed, and more than likely riding on the coattails because Lanthimos had just had his Oscar winning The Favorite out, but the box office information wasn't released. Again, there was some information of some European screenings when the film was released in '05, but nothing reported. Critically, I can report not many, and well, based on the numbers we have, this film was very much maligned. As per our usual source, Rotten Tomatoes, Kinetta sits with, I believe, the lowest ratings I've discussed on Rewind this season. 6 critical reviews, having the film come in at a 17% critical rating. Yes, 17, not 70, 17. And less than 50 audience scores on the popcorn meter, giving Kinetta a rating of 24%. So, why is this film on Rewind this season? Well, if you're an Oscar pundit and you've heard that name, you were like, well, Mike is here discussing it because of Kinetta's co-writer and director, Yorgos Lanthimos. Now, this past year, Lanthimos' Poor Things was the second most nominated film at the Oscars with 11 nominations. And of those 11, the film took home 4 trophies that night. Now, of the remaining 7 nods, 2 of them that, while they didn't result in wins, were for Lanthimos. Poor Things brought him his 4th and 5th Oscar nominations for Best Director and Best Picture as he served as one of the producers. Almost 20 years ago, however, this, Kinetta, was his first feature-length film, and I'm going to talk about it today. As for an awards journey for Kinetta, there is 1 nomination to speak to, which, as per IMDb, at the Thessaloniki Film Festival in Greece, the film was nominated for the Golden Alexander Award, which recognizes newcomers to the film industry. So that was the sole nomination for Lanthimos. So I guess I'm going to move right into that summary. Kinetta gives us 3 unnamed individuals. So for purposes of this review, I will refer to them by their real last names once I introduce their characters. So the first one we meet is a photo store clerk played by Aris Servitalis. The next is a hotel chambermaid played by Evangelia Rando, who works at a seaside resort. And the third is a BMW loving individual played by Kostas Zikominos. And let me apologize for any of my followers who are well versed in Greek. I am not. I am doing the best with the pronunciations based on the research I did. I hope I am not butchering them too much. So, unsure of the connection of these 3, once Lanthimos introduces them to us, we see them gathered in what seems to be a worksite or a quarry where Zikominos is reenacting and directing an attack with Rando, giving her directions as Cervitalis films it. And as it turns out, this is not a one and done situation. After we see this reenactment, we periodically get little snippets into the lives of each of these individuals, and then sometimes we see them come together as a trio, or maybe sometimes as a pair, and they recreate crimes and death scenes and beatings that they learn about. And this seems to be the most exciting thing to do in their lives is recreate these things. And one may wonder, well, how did they get into this kind of an activity? Or one might wonder, what's the relationship between these three or between those two? And, when we come together for these reenactments, we start to see maybe they're taking these a little too seriously. And what ramifications can we have for this trio? And that's the summary. Probably one of my briefest, and honestly, all I can really say, because there isn't much to this film. At a runtime of 95 minutes, I mean, upon a really deep dig, and I'll get into it, I can try to suss out the meaning of this experimental film, but it really takes the work. This trio, while they clearly know each other, in the realm of the characters, we have no idea how they met, what brought them together, how they feel about each other. There's nothing. There's very little dialogue in this piece and very little interaction. It almost seems as if Lanthimos and his cinematographer, Dimios Bakatakis, met up with these three folks, turned the camera on, and said, okay, let's shoot some documentary type footage, some shaky cam stuff, some still camera stuff. Like, let's just see what's happening. They handed the footage over to their editor, Yorgos Mavropsaridis, and said, make something. Show us the shot into the lives of these people. Um, and that's it. Now, the less, I guess you could say, cynical, the more critical person in me, I could say, okay, we have three kind of lost souls who don't have much going on. So recreating these crimes gives them a sense of purpose. But what do they do with this footage? Once it's done, we never see it come up again. It's like we go from one circumstance to the next, and what? um, it's really hard to learn anything. This is a very underdeveloped script that doesn't give us much to go on, and it's not really clear what Lanthimos was trying to do here, which is unfortunate because the later work, the work we've had more recently, is much more engaging. In this film, I mean, I guess you could argue he was trying to find his footings as a filmmaker. Um, and it breaks my heart, especially on Rewind, because I'm revisiting these earlier works. I'm trying to find all these great things, but I can't really recommend this one. It's one of the first times I finished a 95-minute film, and I was like not quite sure what I watched here. I mean, there are some hints of something that could have been, and you can start to kind of see how some of these themes. There's an interesting scene with a car accident and some others, and you can kind of see how almost some of this maybe influenced kinds of kindness. Um, but this is just too much undercooked absurdity that almost wasn't ready for general consumption. It's as if Lanthimos had to rush something out. And look, if you're a Lanthimos fan and you're a completist, it's worth, I could say take a look at it. Maybe not worth it to take a look at, but you can form your own opinion. I like films that are a little more solid. If you're interested in watching Kinetta, you can rent it for digital rental or purchase on most platforms. Or if you have a subscription, if you have the streaming service Kino Lorber, the film's producer, distributor, it is streaming on their platform as well. So there we go. Tragically, I think it's the first one-star film I've had here on Rewind this season, but that's really, even despite my best efforts to pull, can't go any higher than 1 star here. So that's where we're going to wrap it today on Oscar Rewind. Sorry it's not a stronger film, but there are lots of other great ones that are strong here for you to check out. As always, if you like what you heard here, please subscribe to the channel, spread the word. You can follow me on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd. Find great stuff on my website, cinephilemike.com. Until next time, as we wrap up our last few Rewinds reviews, this is Cinephile Mike saying, take a break and watch something new.